Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So in today's head-to-head comparison, we're taking a look at the outgoing third generation Toyota Tacoma and comparing it to the all-new fourth generation Toyota Tacoma. I am borrowing both of these trucks from FOURR Toyota of Statesville. Check out their website, that link is down in the description below. And if you are new to our channel, I used to own a second gen and a third gen Tacoma. I am ready for the all new fourth generation. So I don't have my truck anymore, so we're going to use this third gen to compare to the all new fourth gen, and we'll see what differences both of these trucks have. But we're going to start off with the power plant for both of these. So underneath the all new Toyota Tacoma, you can actually get two different powertrains. This specific truck has the 2.4 liter turbocharged inline four cylinder. It pumps out 278 horsepower, 317 pound-feet of torque. You can get an 8-speed automatic or a 6-speed manual transmission. And then there is the hybrid engine that is coming out later this year. Now for the third gen Tacoma, there are two engine options available as well. This model here has the 3.5 liter V6. You can get a 2.7 liter four cylinder, but for the V6, this has 278 horsepower, 265 pound-feet of torque. So right off the bat, the four cylinder, the base four cylinder in the all new fourth gen has more horsepower than in the outgoing V6. For the four cylinder for the third gen, that was 159 horsepower, 180 pound-feet of torque. Now, both of these trucks are rear-wheel drive, of course. You can get four-wheel drive or two-wheel drive for each of them. And then 0 to 60 is actually about a half a second quicker for the all-new fourth gen. So four-cylinder versus the V6, this is still a quicker vehicle to 60 miles an hour. It's still around 7 seconds or so, but not all that bad for this truck. And then as far as fuel economy goes, you're looking right around 20 miles per gallon in the city, 24 out on the highway for the fourth gen. For the outgoing model, it was around 19 and 24 or 18 and 22 for the V6. Now also for the starting MSRPs, the all new fourth generation for this TRD Sport starts around $39,400, and for the outgoing TRD Sport, that started right around $35,000. So there's a small price increase for the all new fourth generation trucks. But let's work our way to the exterior styling now, where you will notice, let's start at the bottom. We still have the lower air dam. It is much larger looking on the all new fourth gen versus that third gen there. LED fog lights are in a little bit different of a design. I think it actually looks a lot nicer in my opinion. And then there's parking sensors for the front of this, sensor right in the middle. Plenty of cutouts in that grille, which still has a similar design to it. Looks like it's just shrunken a little bit versus the outgoing. This has a forward-facing camera for this model. I'm not sure if that's an option for this or if it's missing it. And then same hood scoop design for both of these trucks. Looks a little bit beefier on the all-new truck, just with some of the extra lines that are added, versus a little bit more clean design for the outgoing truck. But they retain a similar front appearance for both of these sports. This also has some large cutouts in the side of the fender flares there, which are body colored, so that is retained. We have a little bit different of a design. Looks like a similar tire though for both of these models. I like the black wheels a little bit more, but that could be an option with the XP package that this model has here, as well as the side steps, which of course you could get on the third gen. Now, if you take a look at the side profile for the all-new fourth gen Tacoma, to me, it looks like a mini Toyota Tundra. I think it has a really cool, little bit more boxy design to it compared to the outgoing model, a little bit more smooth, some rounded edges. We have very crisp points for the side profile. Now, both of these trucks have the 5-foot bed. You can spec both of them with a 6-foot bed if you would like to. And then in back, Tacoma is still retained in the lower section. And then there's the body colored bumper there with the end caps and parking sensors, backup camera, of course. One thing to note as well for the all new fourth gen is that the trailer hitch receiver is now welded to the frame. So that is fixed, whereas on the third gen, you could actually take it off. Both of these trucks have a similar towing capacity, around 6,400 pounds. And then you'll notice too, we do get a same or similar design with the body colored end caps and all the parking sensors, but the entire rear bumper, you can actually unbolt and remove. So it's a little bit different for that fourth gen. Going to be interesting with some modifications like doing a high clearance rear bumper. but very similar design. Taillights are going to be a little bit different looking. than over on the 4th gen. Now, if we take a look real quick, there's not going to be too many differences in the beds here. Of course, this has an aftermarket cover on it, but there's a power outlet, a little bit of storage, and then all of the rails for the tie downs, as well as being able to put covers on. Same deal over on the 4th gen, where there's the outlet, a little bit larger of a bin now, and then over on this side, you have another bin along with some 12 volts and USBs. So you can actually charge some items and place them in there as needed. And then we have the tie downs and channel hooks. You can also opt for a power rear liftgate. There's going to be a button on both sides as well as on the key fob where that will be power operated. And then new for the 4th gen, the single exit exhaust is on the driver's side instead of being on that passenger side. Let's work our way to the back seats now, where interior trims are going to be a little bit different. You can spec these a little bit different just depending on what you would like. Pretty basic door panel with some of the materials here. What I do like about the 3rd gen is that you can flip these seats up. You have hidden storage underneath, and this goes all the way to the other seat, of course, where all of my items are. And then you can actually fold down these seats as well, where if you don't have the upgraded audio, this gives you a little bit more storage. You get more storage behind that seat. You get a hard backing here, where if you remove the headrest, this becomes nice and flat. So you do have to move the front seats forward in order to get that flat. A lot of people use this seating position for their dogs, so to have a nice flat place to put their beds, things like that, so that way they didn't scuff up any of the seating material. And I know that was a huge thing for 3rd gen Tacoma owners. But as far as putting people in the back, I haven't adjusted this seat, but even with it farther back than I would sit, it is snug. It's a mid-size truck. It's not going to give you a ton of space like a full size, but I have had people in the back of mine. It is doable. It's just not as roomy as you would expect like a full-size truck, but you can get the job done with it, put car seats in the back. There's cup holders in the middle, no climates or anything, which I know is a big concern for the 3rd gen. Did they fix it in the 4th gen? Let's take a look. This one has a really cool trim accent. You can get a few different colors. I like the new like weaving design for some of these storage bins. So a little bit more aggressive design of a door panel. And then here's the biggest thing to note. You do get storage underneath the seats if you don't get the hybrid system. So if you have the hybrid system, the battery is actually located under here. But I really like how the seat flips up now. That gives you a little bit quicker access to anything down below. It's going to be interesting to see if you have dogs or pets. Let's see if we fold this down. You have a cloth backing. I do wish that this was solid. This has the JBL audio as well, so if you don't get that, should be a little bit more storage there. You get storage in the back. But that is one concern. I'm not sure how dog owners, or even just putting tools or whatever, how that's going to be. Maybe there'll be a mat that you can put in when the entire seat is folded down. That way you can better protect that. But this is cool right here too. Now let's hop in, where again, I don't have that front seat set to my height, but even with it a little bit farther back, it feels a little bit more roomy. We have cup holders, we get some auxiliaries, still no climate adjustments, which I think is kind of a miss. A little bit more headroom at 5'10", so it's crammed, but at the same time too, it's a little bit more spacious. And I think that's because the back actually comes up a little bit. We have this rear spoiler now versus kind of rounded off there. So I think the roof line kind of either was extended or just brought up a little bit. And you will also notice while we're back here, we have a little bit smaller of a window in the back versus over on the 3rd gen there. But as far as back seat space goes, I think it's a little bit more for the 4th gen. It's still a small truck, of course, but let's move on to the front seats now, where we have the steering wheel. Start button is down below. I'm going to go through this a little bit quick. We have a full review on 4th gens. We have them on the 3rd gens. I owned one too, so if you want to check out those videos, I'll go through this a little bit quick. But we have a spotlight in the rear. We have a power outlet. a view button for the camera system, which honestly, my 2017 I liked better than this. I didn't have physical buttons, they were all within the screen. A little bit small, and that is a forward-facing camera with the big blockage right there. But if we put it into reverse, you do get a good size backup camera. You get the top-down view there too. And then you do have some info in the gauge cluster here that you can scroll through. Not a whole lot, but it's nice that you can go through some of these features just to see any of this, including some of the standard safety features. I would say it's a nice gauge cluster, very simple and easy to use. We have the distance pacing, cruise control stock, volume adjustments as well. Pretty large steering wheel, but it's nice for this truck. And then you have your map, you have audio, you can go into your menu and go through some items within that screen. So it's not an overkill of tech, but it gives you what you need. You get heated seats, all of your climate adjustments, four-wheel drive selector, and then we have blind spot monitoring, parking sensors, and the rear window, which is automatic, and wireless charging and some other auxiliaries. So it's a good place to be. We have Tacoma stamped over there, sunglass holder, sunroof up top, which is nice. So I wouldn't say that this is outdated by any means, but then you hop into the all-new 4th gen, where they have taken basically the Tundra and they have put it into this truck. So check this out. We have the start button a little higher, so you can actually see it and not hide it. It's not hidden, but this feels like a Tundra steering wheel. We have a lot of controls laid out a little bit differently. So it looks like cruise control settings are now up here. There's no stock anymore, which is interesting to note. But on this left side, we have some info to go through the gauge cluster setup there. So as you can tell, a little bit different of a design, being a full gauge cluster or digital gauge cluster. And then you can go through 3 different settings here to look at some info. So honestly, it's almost more configurable in the 3rd gen than it is on this 4th gen, but just by going through some of those settings. We have that cargo light. There's also automatic headlights, traction control, that power outlet in the bed, all of the window adjustments, a little bit different design for the door panel there. And then check out this massive screen. Now, I wouldn't say it has more info than the 3rd gen, but it is a larger screen and it's a little bit easier to go through all of this. You can hook up your phone, you can get into navigation. I like the size of it, especially for this backup camera. Take a look at how large that is. You definitely have no shortage of visibility there. Volume in the middle, we have climate adjustments laid out a little bit differently. Looks like there's only a single zone for this model. Heated steering wheel, heated seats. You have your climate adjustments down here, so a little bit different of a layout. Wireless charging and auxiliaries, and then even some different driving modes. So it looks like the driving modes will actually change the gauge cluster here as far as the color goes. So you have a few different driving modes, tow and haul, and then those modes to go through. There's auto hold. You have a little bit wider of a center armrest there. And then glove box has a good bit of space. Tacoma is still retained, and there's even some storage up top. Now this does have a sunglass holder and a sunroof, just like on the outgoing model. I like this. This looks a lot nicer. I love my 3rd gen, but this looks so good, especially with those blue accents, which I'm a fan of. But now it is time to get both of these out on the road and see how they drive. Starting off behind the wheel of the 3rd gen Toyota Tacoma, we'll give it a little bit of gas to get up to speed. And it's what you would expect. I know a lot of people have complained about it being underpowered, even with the V6. I could kind of see that. I owned mine for 5 years, and it's not the quickest truck, but I could have seen a little bit of power being added to this. It's definitely adequate for the mid-size truck that this is. But for the drive in this TRD Sport, it's very nice. We have the TRD tuned suspension, which makes it a little bit softer. If you go with an off-road or a different model, it's going to offer different suspensions. So it's really nice that Toyota offers various suspensions depending on how you want the drive in your truck to be and what you are using it for. But this is a really nice seating position. We have a good sized bulge in the hood there for the hood scoop. Everything is laid out well, as you've already seen, so it's super easy to go through everything and all of the tech that is available. But with this driving out on the road, visibility is great. That's not really going to change. And we have that V6 engine note. That is one thing that I am going to miss since they don't offer the V6 anymore. We'll hear what that new engine sounds like in just a second. But it's super nice to drive. This is a great daily driver. A lot of people buy these to be a daily driver, something that's going to offer you a lot of capabilities as well. And it just gives you a really nice place to be. Turning radius is also pretty quick, or pretty easy. So we can quickly do that. And then one more acceleration. And let's hop into the all-new 4th gen. And into the 4th gen, already off the bat, just giving it a mild acceleration. It is a lot more peppy feeling than that V6. So honestly, before these trucks came out, I was really thinking I had to go with the hybrid system. But I've put a few miles on this truck. I did another video with it as well. And I really don't see the need to go for the hybrid unless you really want that extra power. This seems to be a very adequate amount of power for the Tacoma, and it feels like this is what the V6 should have had. So off the bat, power is already improved, as well as that camera there. It just feels like you're in a Tundra. It feels like you're in the new Sequoia. So I like that Toyota has given us some of that vibe that they are doing with the newer tech and the newer look here. And it drives very smooth. It feels like the TRD Sport that I just got out of. Hood scoop is a little bit different of a design, so it just gives you a different look. It feels like the pillars right here are a little different. The mirrors are a different shape, but it doesn't really affect your visibility in any way. Everything is pretty much the same as you would expect. You can see a little bit more of the back of the side bed poking out a little bit. But you can hear a little bit of that turbo in that engine. I think it sounds good for a 4-cylinder. Throw on an exhaust, maybe make it sound a little bit different, a little bit deeper, but I don't think there's anything that is not going to put a smile on your face. This is going to be a great daily driver, something that's comfortable. We even have the removable JBL audio speaker, so that is Bluetooth to your phone, so that way you can take that with you and actually pop it out of the dash there. Turning radius is what you would expect from the other trucks, so not really any differences there. I bet you if you do a few engine mods, you could hear a little bit more of that turbo. But this is cool. I love it. It's super comfortable. We're going to keep driving this one. I like the layout. The ergonomics of everything feels very nice. Everything's laid out well. Large buttons there, so if you have gloves on, you can easily get everything dialed in. This is exciting. I want to keep driving this truck. I love my 3rd gen, before I sold it, that was just a great truck. We even got a nice armrest here too. I didn't really think that Toyota could get any better. Oh, it's teasing us. We want to take this off-road. We will do that once we buy mine. This would be awesome to do an off-road comparison with. But I love my 3rd gen, and honestly, this is very nice. I know there's going to be people who will still love their 3rd gen over the 4th gen. So comment down below, let me know if you're someone who wants to keep your 3rd gen. What is your biggest reason in that? I'm excited. This 4th gen is a really cool truck, and it drives very similar. Everything is just completely different as far as even the powertrain, the transmission, but it drives very similar, but it has the newer updates that we have all been looking for the 4th gen. So back from our test drive now between the all-new 4th generation Toyota Tacoma and the outgoing 3rd gen. Honestly, I have nothing but positive things to say about this all new truck. Yes, I have owned a 2nd and 3rd gen. I'm excited for the 4th gen, but that's why I love this truck. I think it's a really good mid-size truck platform that offers a lot. It's going to be very reliable, and in my opinion, I think it is the best mid-size truck available. It's also been the #1 selling mid-size truck for several years, so I'm not the only one who thinks that. A lot of people are buying this all new truck, or at least the Tacoma in general. I'm excited. That is such a cool truck. I didn't think I would be this excited about the 4th gen Tacoma. I knew I wanted one, but now that I've driven one, I like it. I cannot wait to own one and start modding it. I hope you enjoyed today's video, the comparison between our outgoing 3rd gen and the all new 4th gen. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up. Consider smashing that subscribe button so you don't miss out on not only our daily uploads, but when it comes time for me to pick up my 4th gen Tacoma. And I will see you all in the next video.